Takwe everyone, how you doing? This is DJ Sanakori. I am a Behike of Taino Nation, specifically Arayeke, Yukayeke. Wow, I'd like to thank all of you for downloading this show, taking the time, and also all you seventh generation folks, maybe 100 years from now, who managed to see this video. I'd like to thank you as well. Hey, check this out. I'd like to thank everyone for doing the poll. And the poll is still up if you still want to vote. But number one place came spirituality, Taino spirituality. So today I'm going to start Taino spirituality 101. Here's the disclaimer. I do not claim to have secret knowledge or what they call in many indigenous circles lineage to any secret spirituality in the Caribbean. But I do have some knowledge and some wisdom that was given to me by many elders throughout the years in Borinquen, Quisqueya, and also many that I encountered here in the diaspora, New York, Montana, and different other states and counties. So the first thing I want to teach you all is in the Taino way. I learned this from an Arawak from Guyana, that wherever you go, wherever you start your prayers, it's very, very important to acknowledge the medicine of water. So it's good to get a drink, feel the refreshment of the sacred water, and then wherever you're standing, I want you to pour some water, because in any ceremony, 99.99% of any elder, any medicine person will teach you that ceremony, the main objective of ceremony is to give. It's not to take. We already receive. Today I had 2 meals. Thank God I had 2 meals to eat. Many people don't have that. So I'm privileged enough and grateful to have 2 meals today. And I was able to come to this beautiful park, Shirakapak, aka Inwood Hill Park here in New York City. And I'm able to have a phone. I'm able to make a video so I could download it on YouTube at the Taino Funhouse. I'm grateful for all this. I receive all this. Many of these gifts that I received was due to my work ethic. I do have a job, and I'm very grateful for that. And there's many people in my life in the past that have helped me to get to this position. So I'm grateful for them. I just didn't wake up one day from bed and say, hey, this is who I am. It takes a village. So I like to pour water for all those folks, both living and dead, who inspire me to be here, to be alive, and to give back to the earth. This is one of my favorite places in New York City, and this is Inwood Hill Park, what we call Shirakapak, the land by the edge of the water. Traditionally, for 15,000 years, this was the homeland of, or still is, of the Lenape people. Many of those people are in Delaware right now. Many of those people are in Ramapo. They're in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and so on, and also Oklahoma. So I like to honor those folks and their ancestors. So water is so important for this offering. Very, very important. And I'm getting bitten by some mosquitoes. I'm not grateful to them. Well, at least I'm giving them food, right? A little itchy there. It's very, very important that that when we think of these folks that have given us this gift of life, the opportunity to take a breath, to drink. We're part of a chain. We're part of a link. Okay, and the 7th generation. That's also another spirituality that our ancestors, the Taino, fully knew about. and still know about is that, we do this for the children, because when we're dead, they're taking over. And when they die, their children, their descendants, or members of their Yukayeke or village or family will take over. So this medicine never dies. It continues. A lot of historians, a lot of anthropologists, archaeologists, damn, they still write that the Tainos don't exist. After 500 and 39 years that we don't exist. Well, guess what? I exist and I'm Taino. My parents are from Borinquen. So that's where you start when it comes to Taino spirituality. You start with your parents first, and then you work your way to your grandparents, your great-grandparents, and so on. Now, one of the things that I've been privileged enough to experience is that many people who take DNA tests, they don't know who their parents are because they were adopted or what have you. But Taino comes up, or Caribbean, Taino, Caribbean, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic comes up in their DNA. So they start searching for DNA relatives. And that's amazing. It's truly amazing. Again, our ancestors are constantly giving. And the gratitude of taking a DNA test and actually to participate in helping another person get closer to their family. So once again, it's all about family. That's the first step of spiritual. I should say the second step. First step is to honor the water, consume it, give it. And then the second step is family. And I know for many of us, we may not have strong family connections. Like I said, maybe adoption, or maybe you just don't have a strong network in your own family. Maybe your friends, your cousins are more of your like siblings, or maybe your friends are more like family to you. Well, guess what? It's all related. It's all related. But you have to start with family. Ask about those questions of how did abuela, how did grandmother used to pray? In the Caribbean, you see a lot of influence of Catholicism. You see a lot of influence of Santeria, spiritualism, and of course, the home base is Taino. So how do you know that Taino spirituality still exists? Wow. Step number 3, you ask that question. How do I know I'm Taino? That in itself is a spiritual exercise, because you're trying to figure out, you're going beyond the norm, what you've been taught, okay? But for many of us, we've been taught that we are Taino, but we have to keep it quiet. I know some people still now who have that lineage, but they're not quick to share it because they're afraid that it might get lost through the network of capitalism, put a price on it. And unfortunately, that's what's been going on a lot, is that people have been profiting off this medicine. But that's all right. It shouldn't stop us. Shouldn't stop you. Shouldn't stop me. So what we're going to do is we learn. We learn from those people who may have some lineage or a little knowledge of what it is to be Taino, because Taino identity is spirituality. So 1 is the water, to give. 2 is the family, the relatives. And 3, step 3 of spirituality is your own identity. You have to see yourself. You have to look in that mirror and say, I am Taino. I am noble. I am the buena gente. I have a connection to my ancestors. And for many of us, like I said before, the privilege of having DNA telling us, or relatives telling us. But for many of us that don't know fully, or maybe don't want to fully grasp it, because maybe we're afraid, because we're not 100% native, or we don't have a tribal card, we're not federally recognized. This is all part of spirituality, so don't worry about it, okay? When you're dealing with identity, it's a spiritual experience, okay? And do not be afraid to make mistakes. Do not be afraid to question yourself. Do not be afraid to get frustrated. Don't be afraid to jump up and down and celebrate. Identity is spirituality. See, because when you look at nature, the trees behind me, the birds, the insects, they're all sacred beings, okay? and we're connected. That's another spirituality, all right? You can add that to part number 4 is that we're all related. So wherever you go, you are being spiritual. You're practicing Taino spirituality. Our ancestors, the Taino or Caribbean indigenous people, they had a wonderful, wonderful understanding of nature. They saw God, the supreme being. They saw God in everything, and they had names for these manifestations, these powers that we call semis. So that's another step of spiritual Taino spirituality is semiism. What does that mean? Well, I'm not going to jump too much on semiism, but or what is a semi? But here's the thing: once you grasp that you are Taino, with all my blood and all my spirit, I am Taino. Now you're going to start understanding the worldview of our ancestors. So you're going to go back and you're going to read some stories that were recorded by the invaders. Now, many of these stories that we call the creation stories or stories of the Semi was handed down second, third generation, third source. The original text of Ramon Pane, the Relación de los Indios, that text is lost. It was the original text that Columbus read. It's the text that he commissioned. He wanted to know about Taino religion, spirituality, so he can better divide the people. So that text is long missing, but we have an Italian translation, and we have various commentaries, people like Peter Martyr, and then you have Batama de las Casas, and so on. So there's so much to understand, and I'm going to break all this down little by little in different videos. But spirituality, we start with giving, the spirit of giving. If you don't have any water, you can use what our ancestors used, tobacco, in which you can smoke, offer those prayers, give it back to the universe. Yeah, so that's one thing. Or you can leave some food offerings by your tree. Any action that you could perform to give, you're on your way. Okay? Speak to relatives, especially speak to the older relatives in your family. Very, very important. I guess under relatives too, if you want to speak with friends, acquaintances, people who have full knowledge or understanding of historical Taino history and spirituality and so on. Also, when you join Yukayekes, when you join Taino communities, that's another great way of exploring and confirming your own spirituality, connecting with a community. That's that powerful step too, you know. So you gotta to give family, relatives, friends, scholars, leaders in the community, Yukayekes, all of that. It's gonna help your spirituality. It's gonna wake up your mind. It's gonna open up your heart. It's all connected. Taino spirituality. Okay, very, very important. Wow, it's deep stuff, man. But keep it very simple. Whatever you do about Taino spirituality, you're gonna keep it as simple as possible. If you've ever been to the Caribbean, okay, that's your starting point. I want you to recall, what did you experience when you were on the island? When you went to Luquillo Beach, or you went to Arecibo, Cueva del Indio, the Indian cave, or when you went to Viejo San Juan, whatever, wherever you went in Borinquen, wherever you went in Puerto Rico, or Quisqueya, or Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, wherever you went in these islands, maybe you're from the smaller Antilles, wherever you went, I want you to recall what was your experience, and I want you to really, really focus on that. Was it the heat that got to you? Was it the sweetness of the ocean or the rivers? Was it the food? Was it the coqui or the insects? You know, what do you recall that you experienced when you were on the island? Was it the generosity of your relatives, of your neighbors, your friends, or even the stranger that helped you out? You know, because all of that is rooted in Taino spirituality, believe it or not. It was not exterminated. You know, the island is famous for generosity. And I believe that's one of the key components of Taino spirituality is generosity. See, to give. So spirituality is not just going to a church in a Taino way. It's not just going to a Kane in a Taino way. It's not just going, um, how can I put this? Nothing formal to begin with. Keep it informal, okay? Keep it raw, keep it organic, keep it you, okay? Very, very important. And as simple as it gets, putting your feet in the ocean, you know, feeling that water, feeling the fish, eating the fish, eating the fruits from the tree in the Borinque and Quisqueya, man, because your DNA is going to wake up. Part of our Taino spirituality, you want to wake up our DNA. You want to wake it up, okay? Very important. You know, even scientists will say this, that we have this DNA that's kind of is dormanted, you know. Well, I like to say is that, you know, that's that old ancient knowledge waiting to open up, waiting to enter your visions at night. Wow, man. Can't get any better than that. So that's spirituality. That's Taino spirituality. So as I mentioned before, nature, very crucial. Raising a family is a Taino spirituality. Okay? Maybe you're a father, maybe you're a mother, you're an uncle, you're an aunt, you're a cousin. You know, being part of a family is very, very important. That's Taino spirituality. That's one aspect. Okay? So you don't have to go thousands and thousands of miles to receive sacred medicine. Guess what? Your relative is that sacred medicine that can teach you about Taino spirituality. So again, Taino spirituality is very raw, it's very organic. If you have some funding available, I suggest that you go to the islands if you haven't yet, wherever your island is from, wherever your ancestors are from, and I want you to commune with nature. I want you to feel it. Sometimes those mosquito bites in the island can be really, really rough, especially when you go to Boquerón in Puerto Rico and Borinque. Man, those things are huge. So when you get bitten, you know, you can share that agony from the ancestors, you know. Oh man, they're biting me around. I keep saying mosquitoes, they're all over me. But oh man, I tell you, Taino spirituality, it's I suggest immediately you want to reconnect. You want to form your Taino spirituality, okay? Connect with your family first. Connect with the elders in your family. They might have a story. They may have a tradition that they still follow, but they really don't teach because maybe some of us are afraid. You know, some of the elders are afraid because they've been taught through the Catholic Church that's demonic. Or generations before that, you will get killed. So it's very important to connect with your family, relatives. I keep repeating that because I want you to understand that. It's very important. So I offer some water that this may happen to you if it hasn't happened yet. So I can't stress more to visit the homeland if you can. You know, just like the Muslims, they have to go to Mecca at least once before they die. Very important for us Taino, for us indigenous Caribbean, to visit the island if you haven't. Okay? And if you don't have any relatives there, there's no excuse. You know, you could just get a nice hotel, Airbnb. Very, very important to head out to those mountains. You know, head out to the communities. Head out to an event. Maybe there's a Taino event in Borinque and Quisqueya. There's some great people down there that are doing wonderful things in the islands. You know, you can connect. Go on Facebook, Instagram. There's tons of stuff. I tell you, social media is taking off in a Taino way tremendously. It's helping us. It's uniting us. Sometimes we have some brawls, but it's all right. It's part of human nature. to brawl a little bit. But the key thing is that at the end of the day, we can have an understanding, you know, that we can pick um, solid leaders that can take the communities to a different level. But it's very, very important. We're we're different than our ancestors. Our ancestors, for thousands of years, they had a system led by the women, the grandmothers, and it was pretty tight. And because of the invasion of 1492, it got twisted, it got suppressed. Many of our ancestors were killed living the old ways. But hey, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We're gonna take our time. So you remember what I said? Relatives, gratitude, study, speak to others that know about Taino. Go to the islands, man. And it's very, very important to connect with the people who live there. Okay. There's a lot of people now that have been buying land and returning back to the islands and stuff, which is that's a worthy effort. Um, but you know, I spent a lot of time with northern tribes and South American tribes, and one of the things they do great is if they're not living on their homeland, they try to connect with people of their tribe, of their nation, and they do the powwows. Even if they're not part of their nation, but they're indigenous, they connect to the powwows, the social gatherings. Here in New York, there's a lot of those things that going on. It's very important to be tribal, to be indigenous, Caribbean, to be Taino, is to connect with others, and it's part of our social nature. Our ancestors were superhuman. What I mean by that, they truly embrace what it is to be human, okay? And thank God it wasn't about wealth. It wasn't about money. It was about everyone eating. It was about the crops, connected with the moon cycles, the sun, the fish, and all of these interactions. Our ancestors were able to create stories. Amazing, man, amazing. In my next video, I'm gonna talk about the first phase of the Taino creation stories, that first phase of the celestial beings. And this is how our ancestors saw the universe, through these celestial beings. And did they go to a library? No. They were in nature. They were in nature. Human experience. So it's very, very important, everyone, if you're listening. Taino spirituality, it's not something you're gonna find in way up in the mountains somewhere in the Yukayeke. Guess what? You can find it. Maybe it's your grandmother, your great grandmother lives in the Bronx. Go visit her. Go visit him. Your grandfather, your great grandmother, great grandfather. They might have a surprise for you. You have to ask them. That's where it starts if you live in a diaspora. Now, if you live in the homeland, si vive en las islas, then, wow. Then you do the same exact thing. You speak to your relatives. Visit the land that maybe still is part of your family. And it's a little wild because it hasn't been kept. Or maybe it is part of your family still, the farming and all that. So you have to connect somehow, okay? Connect. Now, I mostly center on diaspora because I was born in Brooklyn, New York, conceiving Guanica, what my mother always tells me. But here's the thing. Ready for this? Taino spirituality. Right now, I'm just feeling a nice breeze. That's Taino spirituality, experiencing, being aware of that breeze, being aware of the tree, being aware not to crush that ant that's crawling up, because that ant is connected to a whole village of ants that protects the queen. So we have to be aware, okay? We have to be aware. We look around. Just over there, that area over there, they found a skeletal native woman with a baby skeleton. So this land right here where I'm on, it's sacred land. It's it was smudged by the blood of people who were killed by the invaders. And where did these invaders come from? They came from various parts. In this area, it was the Dutch and then the English. But this area is mostly, it was colonized by the Dutch. And there was a lot of massacres that occurred because when things started progressing, the ancestors of the Lenape and the Dutch, they collided. Different worldviews. On the island, it's something else. You have to connect to those sites, those historical sites in Arecibo, Yauco, Luquillo. You go to Ponce, you go to all these sacred sites, man, where our ancestors live. You go to Tibes, the ceremonial park, Caguana, Ayuya, or Orocovis. These are places that have sacred sites, the waterfalls, the Yunque. Wow. Connect. In Quisqueya, they got these beautiful caves. Connect. Return back. Make an investment. If you truly are serious about your Taino spirituality, trying to make a connection, okay? Who do you go with? Sometimes you got to go by yourself, but it's good to go with someone else to experience. If you have a family, go with the family. Save some money, okay? Very, very important. But if you truly want to be connected to what we call Taino spirituality, remember the sacred water. That's the first thing. If you pass a river, if you pass a fire hydrant that has water, you have to acknowledge water. So then if there's anything that you can learn today in this video, is that water is super sacred for our ancestors. Ni, Ni, the sacred water. So I want you to really invest some time, okay? And I want you to let me know. You can always write me at tainofunhouse@gmail.com. Let me know if you need some help. I am a Behike. I was formally trained as a ceremonial leader through the Crow Nation. Irving Saints Good Stewart taught me a traditional Crow purification lodge ceremony, what people call sweat lodge. There's absolutely okay. Now this is a myth. If it's not Taino, we can't do it. If it's not a Taino ceremony, we're not allowed to perform it. That's a myth. That's a kind of a corrupt myth. Indigenous peoples, indigenous nations that have been around for thousands of years that still have tribal government, tribal organization, tribal spirituality. One thing that they will tell you, all of them will tell you, is this. That spirit of generosity, if another tribe has lost an aspect of their culture, like ceremony, it is perfectly all right. It is perfectly acceptable. It's actually protocol for one tribe to help another tribe. So when Irvin says good steward, he asked me a simple question. Hey son, what ceremonies do you all perform that's traditional in the Taino way? And I said, Irvin, this was back in '97. I can't tell you that we have a traditional ceremony that's intact since the invasion. And I started explaining to him about the invasion, and the stories you don't read in textbooks. So, with a tear in his eye, he looked at me straight in the eye and says, "Tonight I want to show you a traditional ceremony I want you to bring to your people, the Taino." So right then and then, one nation offering the generosity to another nation, another people, and that's how tradition continues. Because if you take all the words, Crow, Navajo, Lakota, Taino, Arawak, take all these names out, we have the indigenous peoples, Turtle Island. We're family. We're all different. We're all uniquely different, but we're indigenous. to Mother Earth. And my blood is indigenous to the island, to the Caribbean. So I can share a lot of the stuff that I've learned. If you want, just hit me up, tainofunhouse@gmail.com. And one super ingredient that you must have in your Taino spirituality, okay, that you absolutely must have, and I see it in all these traditions, you have to have fun, okay? If you're not having fun, then I don't know, you really have to investigate, is this truly Taino spirituality, or is it truly spirituality? You have to have fun. It has to enrich your heart. It has to bring a smile to your face. This is what Columbus, in his journal, when he first encountered our ancestors, he says their language is so beautiful, and when they talk, there's always a smile on them. So you have to have fun. You have to have fun. Also, a person asked if I can teach about language. I'm not really good in language, but what I want to do, I want to share some of the knowledge that I know of from my brother Javier Hernandez. We're not relatives, close relatives, but we're relatives through Nahuatl history and also Arayeke history. So I'm going to teach some of the stuff that he wrote down in the future videos. So yeah, man. So I just want to give my understanding of Taino spirituality, a brief understanding, and if you're looking for a specific place to learn, to practice, go to the nearest park, okay? Go to the nearest piece of land. And if there's no land, I suggest take a little pot and put some soil in there. Put your hands in that soil and feel it. Take a seed and plant that seed. Put it by your window or something. If you live in a house, start planting. Very, very important to connect to nature. Whose nature is our mother, and our mother has children. Okay, in the Taino way, Atavera, Itiba Kahubaba, she has children, and these children, look in the mirror, and you'll see what kind of child this Mother Earth has. So, just gonna end it here. I try to keep it in 30 minutes. It's a little over 30 minutes. It's a little intro on Taino spirituality. Okay, very important. Connect with nature. Get your bottled water. Keep water always by you. Okay, even if you're not thirsty, because this is how you smudge yourself in a Taino way. We smudge with water. If you want, you could put some fresh flowers in here, roses or whatever, you know, a nice smelly water a flower that you like, and put it in the water. Wow, these mosquitoes, they're taking me down. So I think it's important that you start your practice, all right? And let me know what you did. Let me know. Hit me up at tainofunhouse@gmail.com and say, hey, Sanakori, guess what? I got a whole jar of water, and I put rose petals in there, and I put some beautiful other flowers, and it smells amazing. You know what I want to say? Hey, man, smudge yourself with that water every time when you wake up in the morning, before you take your shower, and before you go to sleep, do the same thing, okay? So, man, these mosquitoes. Sorry about that. So, I'll see you all soon. It was great speaking to you. And my name is DJ Sanakori. Me here, you there. Tainos everywhere. Blessings.